All right. I wanted to ask you guys this since part one. It kind of slipped my mind in the meantime, but we're talking about like the Dark Matter trilogy. I wanted to spend some time talking about the director of these games, Shinichi Shimomura.
You mean Mr. Impossible, who's never been in anything ever?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, are we sure this person even exists? Because apparently, like after they worked on one other title before Kirby, it was something called Hyperzone for Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Then suddenly they take the helm for Dreamland 2, 3, and 64. After that, they vanish off the face of the earth.
The Nintendo ninjas got him.
But he worked for Nintendo.
Maybe they were secretly deaf the whole time and had someone else ghostwrite their games for them.
That's Takashi Nagaki. You're telling me
It's
Takashi
Sakurai
Nagaki
with
actually
a with a mustache on and a pair of glasses.
Oh, it's
Do you
his
think it
evil
was
YouTube doppelganger.
do you think it was like a pseudonym? Do you think it was like an alias
I
for like Iwata with Groucho Marx?
Oh my
glasses?
god.
Yeah.
This is Pac-Man being chased by the fucking red ghost.
Yeah. It's weird though because the eyes are like the ghost when it's sad, but it's like a blob. This is like one of the least creative designs for a Kirby boss.
Well, what you need to watch is when he decides to inhale again, the big flame thing. He suddenly doubles his frame rate. It's the weirdest thing.
It's just funny to see this right now, like a boss enemy that looks like a giant Pac-Man ghost fighting Kirby. When my first thought,
Look at him wiggle. Oh, he doubled the frame rate.
It's really weird, like how he just gets like double the frame rate.
like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, the game runs pretty well for an N64 game. Getting a game that ran at least 30 frames per second consistently on that console was pretty rare.
Then there's the Chat F-Zero running at 60.
Yeah, I was gonna say this game. I believe this game could run at 60. The intro plays at 60.
Yeah, they probably, I mean, it might be like a little stuttery, like it might like hover around like 40 to 50, which like apparently can give some people headaches. So usually they'll cap it at 30 if it doesn't go to 60 and stay at 60 most of the time. That's kind of actually something similar with Forgotten Land too. Like Forgotten Land like usually runs at 30, I think. I'm not a frame rate gene. Oh, look.
Speaking of Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
It's the Forgotten Land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it? Because it's a post-apocalypse. Yeah. We'll do the game eventually. I do have most of it recorded, but one of my favorite things about Forgotten Land is that the wingdings that they write all of the text in can actually be translated to English. And so, like, if you look at, like, the face cutout sign at the amusement park, it says, like, wish you were here above it and stuff like that. And I love when games put that attention to detail into their world building. Splatoon does something similar.
Oh man, has anyone
Zelda's
here
been doing that with the Hylian?
Yeah.
Has anyone here played Tunic?
What game?
Tunic?
Tunic.
They're not Zelda.
No.
I have not.
Yeah, Fox Zelda. That game does it. I mean, it's also just an incredible game.
The thing that fucks me up the most about Forgotten Land's setting is that it is just set dressing. Like, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
I was noticing this when I was playing it last night. The second flight section in the game, like you're just flying by like wind turbines, and I didn't even notice it until my second playthrough because I just was like, oh, they're just obstacles. But it's just like, holy crap, this is a wind farm, and it's like that's just really cool. I don't know, like oh yeah, this power up. I love this power up. It sucks.
Best one.
It is kind of weird that Forgotten Land didn't really do much with its story because I haven't personally played the 3DS games, but we did do them on this channel, and I remember them having like more direct effort put into story.
I was hoping it would go more because Planet Robobot starts off with very little story, and then like randomly in World 3 it starts throwing cutscenes at you.
Yeah.
And I love that. Forgotten Land does none of that until the very end of the game.
It's a little bit more like Triple Deluxe in that way, only Triple Deluxe, the story lead up is pretty minor. It's just like one cutscene where the villain like explains what they're doing. And then in Forgotten Land's case, it's like the same amount of cutscenes that Robobot had, only without the build-up Robobot had. So it feels a little bit more random.
They like made a whole point in Forgotten Land to be like, oh, the Beast Pack, this is the next big threat. And I don't think the game even says the word Beast Pack at all throughout like the entire game until you get to the very end.
It might be
Until
in
you
like
get to,
the
like-
figurines,
like the stage.
maybe.
In the
Well,
figurines, yeah, but not
Yeah.
in the game itself.
Well, and the stage names themselves too, like references Beast Pack, but never in any other cut scene is
But
it
it's
ever
also
referenced.
weird because they do put effort into world building in the environments and the concepts. They just don't use it for anything.
Yeah, they just don't, it's just, again, like I said, it's just set dressing.
Like
Like,
they-
it's just here.
Like they have names and stuff for the companies that used to exist on this planet. And
There's like a whole lore for the dog mascot for the amusement
Yep.
park. Oh, there's a snowman in the background. Oh my god. Anyway.
Forgotten Land also does the thing that a lot of Kirby games do, where the first letter of all the worlds spell out a word. And
Yeah,
I
it's,
think it spells out New World.
It's Ligma.
I don't think
I
I'm
don't
going
get it.
to assume that that's not the case, and you're lying to me right now.
Slippy, no.
Although if anyone's doing a Kirby ROM hack, that would be a genius thing.
That's what I'm gonna do when I make mine.
Yeah. No, it's like, so I remember like one of the Waddle Dee challenges requires you to take like the letter O and like fill out the sign. And
Yeah.
like in a ROM hack, it's Ligma, but you don't know.
Johnny,
that
no!
language.
Ligma balls.
We were talking about the Sonic voiceover videos in between parts. Do you see the one where it's Shadow and Silver? And
It's so
Shadow
sad
goes,
that Steve Jobs
Steve
died of
Jobs-
Ligma.
Who the hell is Steve
Steve
Jobs?
Jobs?
Ligma balls. Boom.
The only one I've seen recently that does that was the one group just doing a bunch of like little short ones, and they did our overly verbose Sonic, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, I think
we
it's
were
the same
mentioning
person.
that one,
Yeah,
too.
I think it's the same person.
It's the same person? Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's the same person.
The same
I believe so,
YouTube
yes.
channel, at least.
Yeah.
I think my favorite ones were Shadow going, okay, Omega, what are your pronouns? E25 processor. 25 gigabytes of RAM. And then the joke at the end is just like, Rouge says, wait, that's not his pronouns, Shadow. And then Shadow goes, you mean it's not E25 processor, 150 gigabytes of RAM's pronouns? Which is, I just think like like normally like, haha, attack helicopters, not a funny joke. But
Yeah.
whenever you can make a wholesome, funny joke out of that, I just find it's worth it. Like the one story about the girl who had two moms, and then they got her caught in a "Go Ask Your Mother" cycle that never ended.
Oh my god. That's so dumb. Oh my god.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Kirby, I guess. Yeah, Forgotten Land's good. We'll do a playthrough of it eventually.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. I think because I got my video will already be up by the time this gets uploaded. Like I'm really happy that Kirby finally made the jump, but like at the end of the day, after playing the game, I was like, yeah, so this is just Kirby.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
part
no,
of what
it
makes it
really
good,
is.
though, is that
Yeah, I go
Sort
into
of.
that like this is exactly what the game needed to be to make the jump successfully.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
agree.
entirely sure about that, if only because
Oh,
part of the build up to it was, Kirby's trying to finally have his, Mario 64 Ocarina of Time Prime 1
Right.
moment. And it's so much more close to just 3D World, which is good, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed Forgotten Land a lot. It's probably in my top 3 Kirby games still overall, but it doesn't really do anything radically different or change the way I think about Kirby or how this kind of game would work.
that is true. Yes.
But it's a game where the gameplay is so solid. It didn't really.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
I don't
it-
think
it-
I don't think every sequel. I'm not really combating you. I'm just saying, like, I don't think every sequel needs to necessarily be better. It doesn't always need to just amp things up, as long as it does something a little different. If it's like a sideways sequel instead of just constantly moving forward.
I would also
I-
argue that the need to amp things up loses significance when this 3D entry is so far removed from every other like Nintendo franchise making the jump themselves in the mid to late 90s. Mm-hmm. So there's not as much pressure.
Yeah,
That's what I would say.
At the same time, I was very much looking forward to that, Mario 64 Prime 1 moment where it's like, okay, this is, it's still fundamentally the same thing, but in 3D,
Yeah.
but it changes the way I think about how this game would work in that way. Whereas Forgotten Land is just Kirby in 3D, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I liked it a lot.
I
was just
can
hoping for
understand
something.
that.
I was just hoping for something a bit more.
It's definitely not inventive.
This feels like this was worth being in 3D for, where it's like, okay, this is just a good Kirby game that happens to be in 3D.
Right. Like, and even I, like, at the end of my video, I say, like, don't spend $60 on this. Like, I believe that the experience that Forgotten Land offers, you can get in Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot for a cheaper price.
Well, not anymore.
No, not. I mean, do it now. Hurry up.
I mean, John, we're talking about a Nintendo game on the Switch. It's never going down in price.
It's true. It's true. Ask for your grandparents. I don't know. Ask your moms.
Ask your mom the last 4 digits of her
I
credit
do
card.
want to bring up something, and that is, well, we're looking at 2.5D Kirby right now. And one of the things that is basically inherent to the Kirby series is that it's a lot of very simple platforming.
Yeah.
The thing about very simple platforming is that when a lot of series made the jump to 3D back in the day, they simplified their platforming because moving in a three-dimensional space makes simple platforming inherently more complicated. In 2022, I found that in a weird way, for Kirby, that still kind of happened. Because
Like that the platforming got simpler or
the
more complicated?
platforming remained simple, but because it's in 3D, the simple platforming doesn't feel as simple, even though it kind of
So
is.
I think it doesn't necessarily come down to the third dimension. I think it's because there's polish in the world design. Because everything in that game feels like a place. They designed everything to feel like a natural environment. When you compare it to like 3D World is very video game-y.
Yeah.
The areas don't feel natural. So I think the simplistic idea changes when you're just like, oh, I'm jumping across sideways fallen buildings and stuff, and things are given context.
There is that too, but I'm just talking about my own experience trying to like 2D Kirby and failing, and then trying to like 3D Kirby and succeeding. And a lot of it comes down to is like, yeah, the stuff we're doing is conceptually and mechanically just as like relatively basic as it always was, but like hitting these enemies with the frickin' spike power, for example, is a lot easier because you only have one direction to worry about right now.
They made Needle so much more fun in Forgotten Land than it normally is. Like, just the, like, little
Well, it's
mini game of
Katamari,
trying to
so-
pick up all the stuff.
Yeah, you're
and then
basically
throw it.
Katamari enemies. Like, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah. The one thing about it for me was that they made the level design very dense. We're just ruining our playthrough whenever we get to it.
No, it's fine. We're gonna forget all about this later.
Yeah. Like, there's secrets everywhere
Kirby?
in that game. There are secrets in the secrets. So
It's also just Crash Bandicoot.
it is.
but
It is.
Kirby.
It is Baby Crash Bandicoot. That is also true.
Would actually say it's slightly more like Pac-Man World.
I can see that.
I never played
yeah.
those, so I wouldn't be able to make that comparison.
Pac-Man, I've only played like Pac-Man World 2. It's at the very least they don't make you drive a submarine for a half an hour.
Kind of the
I blocked that out of my psyche until you just said that. Oh my god.
kind of the only difference. Kind of the only difference between the way the control and camera in Pac-Man World works and the way Kirby in the Forgotten Land works is that Pac-Man has a spin dash for some reason.
I should play Pac-Man World 1. That game looks legitimately very good.
It is.
It's fun.
Pac-Man World 2 was like fun until they made me drive a submarine for a half an hour. And then I got really bored.
And then in World 3, they gave him voice acting.
Pac-Man.
And a combat system. And a combat system.
Pac-Man World 1 is an old classic. Pac-Man World 2 is good, but they made some odd decisions. Pac-Man World 3 was like intended to be a different game, which is why it feels so different from the other two.
Hey, you know what? It's probably one of those kinds of games that holds up better than you think it does. Having never
Pac-Man World
played
3
it,
feels more post-apocalyptic than Forgotten Land does.
okay.
The world in Pac-Man World 3 is dire.
Maybe-
It's just brown and gray
Okay,
and
then
voice acted.
maybe I'm talking out my ass then. But you
Yeah,
know,
it's not that good.
like I'm interested to try it. You know, like You know, there's something about the oddball members of series like Rayman 3, Pac-Man World 3, you know, where they just pique my curiosity. And sometimes I find that I end up liking those entries a little bit more than other people do. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I get why people don't like this one as much.
I mean, that's just a weird thing where it's like we've had all these like platformer revivals and things coming back. Why hasn't Namco done a Pac-Man World 4 yet?
I guess they kind of did that with the Ghostly Adventures games.
My suspicion is because Miss Pac-Man is in such licensing flux.
Well, I mean, I'm more talking about just make a new one and, you know, she doesn't
No, I
have to
know,
be
but
there,
Miss Pac-Man's been in all 3 Pac-Man worlds, so you'd be missing a crucial part of the plot if you remove Pac-Man's family.
It's kind of hard to do a Pac-Man with any quantity of story at all without his family, because it's such a staple of the Pac-Man games that actually have story to them.
The plot of all 3 Pac-Man World games are you are separated from your family and you have to get back.
Yeah. And you know,
they all have, like, almost every Pac-Man platformer has unlockable versions of, like, the different Pac-Man
God,
games.
was that 90s PC Frogger?
Yeah, it was.
Ugh!
Yeah. But yeah, like you can't not put Miss Pac-Man into a collection if you're putting in a whole bunch of like Pac-Man games, because it's just
No, I mean,
better Pac-Man.
I'd like a Pac-Man World 4 where they have to try to explain how he got a divorce.
There you go. You go on an adventure to get your divorce papers that the evil ghosts have split across the lands.
Suddenly, Pac-Man breaks out into the mainstream as one of the top voices for social commentary.
So I know that Miss Pac-Man was originally a game made by like some fans, and then Namco just like bought it because it was better than their game. It was the original Sonic Mania.
That and like they kind of.
It was more of a settlement because they technically couldn't sell that game in the first place.
Yeah, I watched a whole documentary on this stuff recently. It's pretty wild.
Did you do a video on it?
No, there's someone else did like a 45-minute expose piece on the history of Miss Pac-Man's licensing troubles.
That's getting added to my watch later list.
It was a very early case of like figuring out how game copyright worked in a way.
Yeah.
Because like in those early days it wasn't really as codified as it should have been.
Oh my god, if you search Pac-Man documentary, they still show the Billy Mitchell video, and
very nice.
It's been confirmed he cheated.
Yep. The Miss Pac-Man thing, I think it was written to where like any distribution of the game, money would have to be paid to the license holder, and Namco just didn't want to pay them for every time they wanted to do a Miss Pac-Man port. But I guess there was a loophole because they're able to do like the Miss Pac-Man arcade cabinet that they just did like a couple years ago. But I know they just recently ported the arcade version of Pac-Land to Switch and modified it so it's no longer Miss Pac-Man. They changed the sprite, so now it's Pac-Mom. And when they do the Pac-Man Museum that's coming out, and Miss Pac-Man's not in it, it's this new woman called Pac-Mom. And the company that now owns Miss Pac-Man is friggin' At Games. The guys who do the really garbage plug-and-play consoles.
No.
So they now own Miss Pac-Man.
No.
And I'm sure Namco does not want to pay them every time they want to...
I wouldn't want to pay them for anything.
I'm very disappointed they went with Pac-Mom instead of the very obvious Pac-Man.
It's probably cheaper to buy that company outright than it is to buy the rights back to Miss Pac-Man. Now I'm thinking about it.
It's very, very weird.
Yeah. Man, that's a shame. Pac-Man is such a weird You know what they need to do, and that doesn't require Miss Pac-Man at all? Port Championship Edition 1 onto Switch. Already.
Yes, please.
I thought you were gonna say like Scorched Earth. Start over.
It's unfortunate too, because there are other like games that Miss Pac-Man is attached to that I'd like to see get like modern.
Miss Pac-Man's Maze Madness.
Maze Madness was exactly.
No, I hate that game so much.
That makes sense for you. You don't have good opinions.
That's hurtful.
I mean,
that's hurtful.
I'm still hopeful for like the fucking. It's better Silver the Hedgehog accolade in the back of the box. So,
As a Pikmin 2 and Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness fan, I agree. I would like Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness.
That's the worst sentence I've ever heard you say in my entire life. It's just like, as someone who likes to pick their nose and wipe their ass with napkins. I
think it was just payback for you making her remember the submarine thing from Pac-Man.
That was, dude.
Yeah.
Unless
And
you
then
play
you
that
go
game, you
straight to
don't know.
roller
That
skating
was
level
some
after that. You don't even
that
get
was
back
some
to normal platforming.
PTSD. I had. Oh man, that's so bad. I had blocked that out of my memory.
See, that's morbid curiosity, and that's how you just. Oh, I see. It's genius. Actually, you want more people to play it, so when people talk about it. I get it.
There you go.
Yeah, John. Now John has to review Pac-Man World, and
Yeah.
everybody's gonna yell at you until
Like
you do
like
it.
like 5 years. Yeah, 5 years from now.
5 years from
Absolutely.
now. Wow, that's a quick turnaround you've got going on there.
Yeah, I know. It's really that's really fast for me.
What are you working on reviewing after Kirby?
What? Oh, you mean the Forgotten Land video?
Yeah.
I'm working on the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG retrospective.
Oh, wow,
and
nice.
then
Oh, dang.
donated games, and then Ratchet and Clank.
Oh man, I can't wait until you whine about back in my day when we played without sleeves on the parking lot. It was way better when we had my UFO turtle sacrifice itself to get another UFO turtle. And
I had no idea what the fuck you were saying now until you said UFO turtle.
And then you just
played
had Vietnam
Yu-Gi-Oh!
War
without sleeves?
flashbacks.
No, because you said that right after the Ratchet and Clank thing, and I thought you were making a Ratchet and Clank reference. You were talking Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah.
I didn't get that until you said UFO turtle.
I love you.
card
I
sleeves.
remember very little of Yu-Gi-Oh! Playing actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Because the only one I only played one of the GBA games, but I remember letting them kill my UFO turtle and then just bringing another one from the deck, and I just remember thinking that's awesome.
Man, you know, this week I got into Master Duel on Steam, right, to try and get back into the card game, and I realized I kind of remembered why I fell off, because like the way the game plays now. Okay, this is the way most of my games go. Flip a coin, see who goes first. I go second because I want to draw a card. Okay, so the other guy goes first. So they put down a card in their pendulum zone, they put down another card in their pendulum zone, they pendulum summon something, and that special summons something else, which draws like a card from their deck, and then they can special summon that card, and then that special summon
Right.
triggers another special summon.
You can save a lot of time just by cutting to a screen of solitaire.
But like imagine how riveting this all is when the other guy is like playing on their mobile phone and they have horrible connection, and it takes 30 seconds for every step in their move chain to happen.
Yeah, that's a big Magic the Gathering problem too. If you play any of the formats with the really old cards, Magic the Gathering is a complex enough game where you can get certain like cards in play, and then it's actually like scientifically considered a computer running a program. Like the game itself, the cardboard is considered a program, and the electricity is like the rules of Magic. There's a video on it. I recommend checking it out. But basically what that results in is you can sometimes watch people playing Magic online, and some people's turns like actually take 15 minutes for them to do their nonsense.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
win the
much
game.
That's pretty much how
It's-
Yu-Gi-Oh goes nowadays. Okay, so this is
Yeah.
like half of my games now. The other player does like this big 25 card chain that summons like 10 different monsters to their field, including their big ultimate monster that can't be destroyed in battle or by card effects and has 5,000 attack points, because why not?
So what you're saying is they summoned a bunch of monsters in one turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I like because
That's
I'm
against the rules, isn't it?
because I'm old school. I just use Raigeki and destroy all of their cards, and for some
Right.
reason they surrender, even though they can still like beat me in 2 turns.
Well, they're gonna time out. Those games have a chess clock. They don't have enough
Yeah,
time to do the combo again.
Honestly, like I love Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG to death, but it is a double-edged sword, because like I have no problem being the old man and just like playing GOAT format. Like that was the climate around 2004, 2005,
Yeah.
around the first few ban lists, because while decks were a little more homogenous,
Yeah.
duels were fast.
Yeah.
Like they took 5-6 minutes at most, and I like that fast pacedness. The benefit of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that there are a lot more viable decks out there, so you can get away with running your Dragon Maids or your dedicated Blue Eyes or Red Eyes deck, and it can
Oh
win.
yeah, I've seen a lot of
It's
Blue
just-
Eyes and Dark Magician decks.
Duels take fucking half an hour.
Yeah, but here's
It's like
the,
I don't have
but
that time.
here's the other problem. Every card has like 5 different effects that are like 200
Yeah.
words long. So like every time my opponent plays a card I've never seen before, I have to sit there for 5 minutes reading the goddamn thing and trying to figure out what it means.
Every monster brings their own fucking college thesis. Like, and it's
Jay
exhausting.
Witz did a video on Yu-Gi-Oh! A couple of years ago. And he looked at, like, you know how, like, in Walmart or Target, they'll have these, like, $20 decks, like the starter
Yeah.
deck that's made to like get you to learn how to play the game.
Yeah.
So he bought one of those and got like the front facing card for that deck that's on the front of the box. This deck intended to get people to learn how to play the games. There's so much words on the monster that the text font on it is smaller than the phone book text size. And like I play
That's
Magic, so
probably
I
one of
know
the
how
structure decks,
I'm
yeah.
pretty good at reading like game trading card gameese, you know,
Yeah.
like having to like sound that out, and I did not understand a word of that what that card was trying to do.
Magic the Gathering has this thing that they do where they have a lot of keywords that are shared between a lot of cards.
That's true, yeah, and it's helpful when you know the game, but when you're starting out, just like, what the hell does trample mean? And then somebody has to explain. That's what I've found when I've tried to teach people the game, is that it's not that any one rule is confusing, it's that learning all of the rules takes forever because there's so many.
But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you'll get a rule book with your starter deck that has most or all of the keywords in it, so you can eventually memorize them. But like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have keywords at all.
Well, they're starting to do that. Well, more like I'm pretty sure they've started to do that for a while now, but like definitely in the first 5-6 years of the card game, they sure as shit did not.
They still
and
don't.
text was still
They
bloated.
still don't. Every card has to fully explain every effect that it has in however many words it takes to actually explain the effect. Rather, this is like there's no trample. There's just, when this card attacks a card that has less defense, it does piercing damage to the opponent's life points.
Well, no, because nowadays they will just say inflict piercing damage to your opponent, but back then it was like inflict the difference of the monster's attack subtracted from the monster's defense. It's like, holy shit, just say piercing or trample, like, and I'll know what it means.
But they still, like, they don't commit to the keyword. They still explain what it means.
Yeah.
So
Idiot.
You know, it might be
Thanks
one
for
of those
buying our
things
card
where
game,
since
sucker.
the game's written in Japanese first, they feel like they have more space to write that crap out because Japanese text is... No. Okay.
No. The words get crammed down there in such small print that it's hilarious.
The crown say Popeyes.
What?
What?
The crown that you on the world map.
At least Master Duel
Has words
At
on it.
least
I was like,
Master
is it
Duel does
Popeyes?
the courtesy question mark of abbreviating graveyard as GY on all the cards for some reason.
Guy.
But
Send your
anyway, I
card to
want
the
to talk
guy.
more about the Popeyes that's apparently on Shiverstar.
Yeah, like, so next time we see the world map, look at the word, look at the lettering on the crown that you use to point. I swear to
you
Christ,
mean
it said
crayon?
Popeyes. The crayon, yeah.
You
said
okay,
crown.
you said it. You'd saying it like Homestar
sorry,
Runner.
that's my
Yeah, a
accent.
brown crown.
kicking in. I always said crown.
No, it's crayon. Crayon.
I've heard people pronounce it in that way before, you know, just kind of.
Yeah, that's just the way I've always pronounced it because of just the way I was
The
raised.
only person I've ever heard say it like that is HomestarRunner.net. I
Yeah,
mean, .com,
then I guess
sorry.
we might be from the
.com.
same area. Yeah.
There was a new Strong Bad email for the first time in like 5 years, and it's funny because like every 5 years I get to say that now since like 2006. It's just like, wow, they've released a Strong Bad email for the first time in like 2 years. It's like, yeah, that's because that's just the time frame between Strong Bad emails.
I was having
now.
a bit of an existential moment there for a second because, like, what, did I say something accidentally racist? And I was like, no, you guys just, no, you speak funny.
Then, in the next part of the Kirby commentary, you're not here. You're gone. You've
Yeah, I
been
was gonna
canceled
say,
mid
I want this
He
man
went to
canceled.
he went to the Popeyes on the Apocalypse. I would have thought that Waffle House would have survived, to be perfectly honest, but Popeyes is acceptable.
That's the one thing Forgotten Land was missing, was just a fully functional Waffle House with the 2 employees still in there. Oh, 2 Waddle Dees.
We never went to Waffle House. Like, we've been to Atlanta, like,
Waddle House.
what, 7-8 times, and we've never gone to Waffle House.
But because we were, like, in the middle of the city, and, like, from what I've seen, no, there's a Waffle House close to the,
Yeah, there
CNN
is. It's right
Center.
down the road.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one close to the CNN Center. It's like we never really had the need to because we always go to that dinner at the end.
Yeah, but
Are,
I mean,
are you
like,
itching? Are you itching to go to Waffle House for the first time?
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things you have to like experience at one point. Like,
Yeah, I gotta say, breakfast skillet at 2 in the morning hits really fucking different.
What's
That's a fair point.
what's Waffle House and why should I care?
it's
like
like
a-
Denny's,
it's just
but
IHOP.
Southern.
Oh, so that
Yeah, it's just a 24-hour
doesn't
IHOP
sound
or diner.
It's also
appetizing
known
at
for
all.
never closing for any reason. If it does close down, your area's is in line for some real rough weather.
It's like, Lewis, given your schedule, if there was one next to you, it'd be your best friend. Like, you no longer have to fucking consume Red Bull.
What?
No, I'm just saying. It's just like, you have a really weird fucking sleep schedule. And
Yeah.
All content creators technically do.
yeah, I do too. I'm not judging for the record. I'm just making an observation.
John, when did you go to bed last night?
I did go to bed last night, but I didn't sleep for very long.
Oh no, but when did you go to bed?
Oh, when did I go to bed?
Did you
Oh,
go to
good
bed
que-
like I would hope
Fantastic
so?
question.
What else are you gonna do?
He actually
Went to couch last
went
night
to bed. I didn't.
and then just
I
sat
was
there,
editing
just sat
his
in bed.
video.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's cracking the whip.
Yeah,
see it.
actually, what are we doing commentating?
With cha.
All right.